Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. This is Energy Readings with Shelby Aesthetic. I appreciate everyone that's here live and everyone listening in playback. So this is going to be the last part of the Inside the Chakras series that we're going to do tonight. This is a three-part series, and you can catch the other two in archives on IntuiTalks.com, which is where I'm broadcasting from. So if you're listening out there, check out IntuiTalks.com. It's an awesome network. Jenny Davis is the owner of it. Satori, I guess, she's the owner of it, but she's made this place a really neat place for a lot of like-minded spiritualists to get together. And you can build websites, you can do podcasts. There's all kinds of different packages that she offers. So check out IntuiTalks.com. I have to plug it every time I'm on because I love her, and I love IntuiTalks. There's always so much great stuff on. Okay, so let's see. All right, so before we get too far into what's going on, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up on my show, and then also some things that are going on IntuiTalks. So for me, next week will be the 3rd. We'll have Kathleen Moore on. We're going to finally get together. We've had to cancel a couple times. But Kathleen's got 2 decades of experience, and we're going to talk about crystals and gems and stones and all kinds of really cool stuff. Hopefully she'll be talking a little bit about some of her products, too. Originally, we had video, but we don't have video anymore, so we're just going to be on air. And then after that's over, we will, or after we do our discussion, then we'll do some readings after that. On the 10th of October, I'm going to do a show on my own. It's Contacting Souls. So this was something I wanted to do because I had a lot of email last week about meditating and soul connections and stuff like that. So I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some various methods that, I do, but also that like lots of people do. So I think it's a good short sort of. Maybe we can throw a meditation in there too. I'm not sure yet. But either way, it'll be something that's kind of neat. 10/17, I have Selena B. She's back on. Selena is actually a Huntsville, Alabama native, very good friend of mine. And I had a couple of people request that to have her back on. So that's awesome because I love Selena anyway. So it's like, I don't get to talk to her enough. So that'll be fun. She's going to bring her tarot cards and do some tarot readings at the end of her telling us what's going on with her. She does most of the, I wouldn't say all of it, but she does a ton of the music scenes around our city. She's she's incredibly gifted also with her readings. So I enjoy her very much, and I think you guys will also. On the 24th, I'm having Corrine DeWinter on my show. We're going to talk about ghost stories. Since I'm not going to be here on Halloween, I thought I would have a Halloween show, and what better person to have than Corrine DeWinter? Because she's like already an author and a writer, and she writes, some pretty spooky stuff anyway. But she's like the horror fan queen too. So it'll be really exciting. That'll be a fun show. So we'll talk about kind of ghostly stuff. I was trying to find my glasses. I can barely read my own handwriting. I have all this stuff written down. Anyway, all right. So there's also a bunch of stuff coming up on IntuiTalks. So like I mentioned earlier, check out IntuiTalks.com and look at all the podcasts that are going on. There's tons of stuff. There's tons of stuff happening all the time. It's one of the reasons I like it here so much. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about layers. So the last couple weeks we've been talking about the chakras. Now this is based off of a blog that I had written last year. So this is about the way that I see and experience certain things, and this happens to be about the chakras. And towards the end, I always like to do a little quick little meditation. For connecting and stuff. So this should be an interesting show because last week we talked a lot about the secondary chakras and how they worked with and function with the main chakras, as well as, I threw some talk in there about meridians and stuff like that too. And this week, instead of doing how we have been working with them, which are as, orbs, or, they're round, the way we've been working with them, we're actually going to lay them flat like a plate on a table. Instead of a plate on a wall, it'll be a plate on a table. So they'll be flat, and they'll spin out. And they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And I wanted to, on that blog that I had written, there were parts of that where I had written one called Chakras as Discs also, which there's a lot of stuff on that blog that talks about the different layers, which is what we're talking about tonight. Okay. So, and a lot of you people probably already know this, but there's, we don't just have our physical body, and we interact with things multidimensionally. So our bodies are always interacting with things, even if we can't see it, things that aren't right in front of us. And the chakras, the way we've been talking about them and how they work with our physical bodies, especially being able to look into certain chakras. And I had talked about the vortexes last week, and getting information out of some of those smaller little cells that I call them that are inside those little vortexes. What's really interesting is those chakras are also very much not just connected to the physical elements and the things that go on with our physical body, but also how it's relating to our other spiritual bodies. And we do have lots of those. And we're keeping everything simple, so we're going to talk about 7 of them. Since there's 7 chakras, we're going to talk about the first 7 bodies and the connection with the chakra. So this, when you're communicating, when your bodies are communicating with you and you're communicating with your different bodies and trying to connect in, it's always a good idea to remember that we're clearing and we're doing all of this work, but we always want to make sure that we're also centered at the heart. So what we're trying to do is power all of our chakras from the heart. Really, is what we're trying to do. So just keep that in mind when I'm talking about all this stuff. It's good to work with the different chakras alone, I think, especially doing the clearing work and stuff. But it's also important to remember, for me anyway, where my center is. This keeps me more than anything. It helps me not only to stay grounded, but it helps me to be very aware of that I'm in control of also what's happening. Because I think some of these energies can be really intense, and they can even be a little intimidating. And if you don't always know what's happening or what's going on, you can misinterpret things that are going on as being bad or scary or something like that. So the more centered and balanced you are at the heart, the better. So just when we're doing this work, I wanted to preface anything with that, because that's my big thing. Okay. Okay. So we'll start with the first one. Okay. We'll just start with the different energy bodies, right? Okay. So you have your physical body, and although you cannot see the chakras, they're there. The next layer, which would be connected to the root chakra also, is going to be the etheric body. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about also, please keep in mind that this is how I see them. This has been my vision. You may see, feel, hear, smell, taste, or experience different than I do. It doesn't mean that you're wrong and I'm right, or I'm right and you're wrong. And I want to say that because I think if you have an idea of what you're supposed to be looking at and you see anything that varies from that, or you're not paying attention to the other signs that are being fed to you for information, it's really easy to get hung up on, well, they see it this way. So just please try to keep that in mind also. So for me, this is the most dense body, it's the etheric body. Now I can feel it, especially if somebody has it vibrating at a higher frequency. I can feel it. Well, I call it, it's like it becomes almost a fine mist type feeling. But usually this is the most dense one. And it's also the first one that I think I've heard a lot of people that read auras say this will be the first one that they see. But this body really helps to transmit the energies of the higher bodies down into our physical consciousness. And it's really related. It's related also to things like feelings, physical pleasure, pain. And some people see it as blue and gray, and some people see it as a light. I've seen people or heard people say it's brown. So there's no wrong way or right way to see it. Just know that it's there, and it really just lays on the surface of your skin. It's pretty easy to see if you're standing up next to a white background, and you look around somebody's head. A lot of times you'll see kind of an energy around them. And it's usually, like I said, the first body that people see when they're reading auras. And there's tons. Each one of these layers now has information in them. So as I'm doing a reading, so these will be some of the different bodies that I see, or some of the different things that I'll see. And when I go in for the information, if I'm looking for something particular, because I always go through the heart first, and then I can explore the different chakras and bodies and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see how some of those chakras will be holding information, and if you follow it, you follow the energy line, it will shoot out into particular bodies. For instance, the second layer, the emotional body, is really connected for me in my vision again to the second chakra, into the sacral chakra. It's where your desires are, right? All your emotions. I mean, you can even see people's psychic ability in there. There's lots of stuff in that emotional body, and you can trace what thought triggered specific emotional thought forms. You can trace those back into different bodies, but really the other thing to kind of keep in mind also is the information that is lodged in that sometimes is also from, when I see it, is from the person that I'm reading's viewpoint. So it's not always the truth. A lot of times it's coded with information, personal thoughts that the person has about a situation, for instance. So it can be tricky to look into some of that. Now, when I see this, it sits over the etheric body, and in my vision, I see it as this big pink, fluffy blob. I've heard people report it as being orange or yellow or pinks, different stuff like that. But mine is it looks like cotton candy is what I always say. And you can see a lot of feeders in there. You know, last week we talked about some of the secondary chakras around the knees, and that there's a lot of fear in the knees that you can see. It's the same thing. It's the same thing here. You see the hatred, grief, but you also see a lot of the creative ways people explore love also. So it's a really interesting. I don't like to get too right because it's so, even talking about it, I'm like la la la. It's I don't like to stay in that as much. Okay. The third layer, so the mental body. I think you guys have probably heard me talk about it. When I see it, it's always bright yellow and it's very spiky. And what I do is I'll feel, so to speak, I'll feel the edges of it at the very tips, the pointy parts of it. And that will give me a lot of information about the person's, their intelligence, their rational thinking ability, the way they are with people, communication, stuff like that. So, and even though it would be connected at the solar plexus, it very much still functions. You'll start noticing as you get through all of these, especially if you're a seer, you'll notice that you can get to these bodies through the every various layer in the chakras. It's just but the information changes. It changes with what layer you're looking at, what body it's attached to, or fear, or any of that stuff. The information changes because it's all layers. I always use oil painting as an analogy. To me, that's what being a clairvoyant is to me, is seeing things, seeing the layers of a painting. Okay, we're on the third one. So yeah, and I'll feel the edges of them, for information. So this is there's also a lot of thought form space in obsession around this area also, and this is a really driving to me. A lot of people with real obsessive disorders and stuff, it's real strong. I mean, and it'll take my breath away. Sometimes it'll be so, I don't know what the right word is to describe it. It's not sharp, but it can just be very overpowering. So having to keep people's energy back like that whenever you're doing readings is something that I have discovered is super important. Okay, so the fourth body, the astral body, which is also connected to the heart. And this is, I can still see all at that level. I can still see the chakras present, all of them present. Like the secondary one, like all of them, because as I go out into some of those other bodies, the chakras are different, right? So they're at different frequencies. So they're still attached to your sacral chakra or your heart chakra, but they're in essence, they will be your higher vibrational bodies having those chakras, which are, I mean, it's you, it's all you. But they look so much different, too. So finding and learning which ones connect with which ones, it can be really confusing also, especially if you see, like I do, a lot of times it's ropes. They look like these energy lines, so I'll have to grab like one of the energy lines or one of those ropes and kind of follow it out to whatever I'm looking at. And sometimes it's the only thing I can do is to just grab that and let it take me instead of trying to sort the information out while I'm talking. Anyway, so also this particular body. I can see the meridians, how the meridians run energy on this body, and this is all about healing. This one is all about healing, and there's lots of other things that each one of these bodies are associated with, and the things that they do. But I'm really trying to condense the information. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, you can email me. I didn't want to get too heavy. There's just so much to talk about. I said last week I should have made the show longer, and I still didn't do it. That's okay. So then the fifth layer, and some people call it the etheric double or etheric template. So this would be connected. This is connected at your throat, and this is so this is your overall, your blueprint, right? And you can actually call on this even aspect of yourself to really become integrated with you. But this is if you've ever seen one. To me, and I haven't really heard people describe too much of that stuff, but to me it looks like a galaxy, sort of, right? So it's darker in that way, but there's lots of purples and there's golds, and it looks like stars all over the place. And I haven't really gone into much more than just observing it. But it's magnificent, really, and it's beautiful. But the more you're living your own truth and in joy and happiness, the more present this one will be. So sometimes it looks, I just wish I could have a better way. I wish I had like a slideshow I could show you some of the images, because it's I have a hunch about that, but we'll have to come back. That's another show. I have a hunch about the stars and the maps on that body. So you keep going out to the sixth, the celestial body. So this is connected to the third eye. Now this is way out, because your bodies they're huge, and there's so many of them. And if you look at it, from all parts, sort of from a distance, you can really begin to understand how we're all connected, because all of these bodies are you, and they are functioning parts of you. But they get so big, they touch everything. They touch everything. So so you wonder how much communication your body's actually having, just while you're sitting in the living room. Well, your energy space, your energy bodies, they're very large, and they're interacting with all kinds of stuff. And some people practice expanding their bodies and, making them bigger. And there's lots of things you can do with that. You can get regional information really easy that way. The thing is as you're pushing out, what I have found is that when I come back in to center, because that's so important, if you've pushed your energy all into this other stuff, don't be surprised if you bring some stuff back with you to collect in your energy. I don't mean like stray dogs or anything, but like kind of, like if you're out there pushing your energy way out there, and it is interacting with all kinds of stuff, you can bring stuff back to you. So it's a good idea to clear whenever you're done with that. And we talked about clearing on the first episode. So the etheric tornado is the one that I had mentioned, I believe. I love that one. So, but I just noticed that from my own experiences when I do it. I like to sit sometimes in my living room and push myself out as far as I can and see how far I can go and what kinds of stuff I pick up. But it's just important. It's important. It's interesting, the information that I get, but it's also really important for me too, because I feel like it helps me grow, right? Because I'm learning and discovering things. So. Okay, so some people say that the celestial body is where you can channel higher beings, angelic beings, different stuff. This is a super high vibrational body. It is you, like I said, so all of the different bodies are part of you. They're connected to you. There's a lot of divine information in that layer, so that, and the communication is it begins to become much different as far as, again, it's about layers of communication. Like there's not one communication isn't better than another. I don't believe. It's just layers. It's different aspects. So the seventh one, the casual body, this is the divine and universal consciousness. You can see, and if you believe in soul contracts, this is where you can find some of that information. So I always see the way out ones get real interesting in how they look. They're not really solid. I can't really say it's gold. I could just say there's gold in it, but there's a lot of stuff. I can't even describe it. Like I'm trying to find the words and I'm just stumbling all over myself. There's no way to describe some of the stuff that I see, I guess. They're just different. They're not, and I guess they're not meant to, I don't know. I know that I feel like now is a time not just where we're all expanding our consciousness and we're growing, but I feel like now is a time where because we have been expanding our consciousness, especially or particularly the last few decades, I really feel like the visions are getting more and more information is being shown to us. So I think that this is just the very tiniest tip of the iceberg. I'm a firm believer that the 7 chakras, and while they're main energy points and they're important, they're just a very tiny droplet in an ocean of information about energy bodies. So, and the fact that people do have similar visions, and not even similar like they both see the same color or they both see the same vision exactly, but the information that comes forward can be, you can compare notes and say, well, it's described in 2 different ways, but we're talking about the very same thing. Where one person's feeling it and one person's seeing it and another person's hearing the information. It's so important that all of these variations are happening, because there's not one right answer in any of this, in anything that we're doing. And the fact that, to me, the fact that that we're alive in this time to be able to experience is, oh my God, I love it. I'm thrilled about it. I feel very happy to be here, to experience this part of it. Only because it's, you know, when you don't know what's happening, it's an awe thing. And I struggled for a long time with, well, if we're these great multidimensional beings with all of this knowledge and understanding, why in the hell would I come here as, you know, a woman that, you know, can't reach the top shelf in her house, you know, like anything that would bother me. I was like, why am I here? And I feel so angry because it didn't make any sense, but I understand now. It really is about the experience, and we really are creating these experiences, but we're doing it through our energy bodies. Like, this is how we're communicating and being communicated with. So it's all of these little details, which in the end, the details don't really matter, right? The stuff's fascinating to talk about or listen to, but it doesn't have to be, it also doesn't have to be so overwhelming that it takes life over. So a good balance right down the middle is what's important. And that's part of this process and part of this work. And we are going to be doing, when we get to it in a few minutes, I'll ground everyone. We will ground together. And then we'll do some main chakra balance work. And then we'll open up our secondary chakras, and then we will go back and spin our chakras out like this. So I want to do that in just a minute, but I did want to get some of this other information out first, which, like I said, I couldn't find my glasses and I can't read my own handwriting. It's embarrassing. Okay. So this brings me to sort of another point. So we're all aware, or have been made aware, about the 7 main chakras and the secondary chakras. The meridians I didn't get too much into because that's kind of that'll have to be another show. But we didn't really talk about the higher or lower chakras. And the reason I didn't get into all that, because I don't want to get it too confusing, but while we were talking about the 7th body, the 7th layer, I wanted to mention that I see this working, interestingly enough, when you go into like the 8th and 10th chakra, which are above your head. There's some really interesting communication connection happening with some of those real wide, past the 7th body even. And I bring that up because I work with my 8th chakra a lot, and then the 10th chakra, which we don't really talk a whole lot about. I've been doing some stuff with that too. So again, that's a different show, and I don't want to get too much into all of that stuff, but I found it really interesting. So if you're not a seer, when we start to do some of the chakra work in a second, don't worry about it. It's no stress. You don't have to see anything. I like to say to use your imagination, and if you see, that's great, and if you don't see, that's okay too, so that you are being communicated with. We just have to figure out how you're being communicated with. So, and that's why they say to sit in silence, so that you can notice the different small changes that are happening, and why meditation is important. I know not everybody can meditate in silence. I didn't think I could, but I love it now. It's my favorite thing. Okay, so we're right at 30 minutes. So let me go ahead and start doing some of these exercises. And if you want to find more information out about the chakra series and the blog that I wrote, you can find my blog on my website, which is thirdeyebetty.com. You can also go to WordPress and find it. Just look up Third Eye Betty, And the name of the blog is Awakenings. And it was actually two written back to back that talked about a lot of this information. It's hard. I like to go over that stuff because the information, even when I read it back over, I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I'm like, I wrote it, but it's still so neat. I love talking about energy and chakras and stuff. It makes me really excited. Anyway, so those will be in December 2017, that folder is what the one you're going to want to look up. Okay, and then one more thing before we get started. I mentioned some of the shows that were coming up on my on energy readings with Shelby Aesthetics. So if you want to find out what's happening normally, and you can always follow me, just look up Third Eye Betty on anything, and I'm there. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. So please connect with me, and I've been loving the emails that I've been getting, so thank you for the people that have been writing, and I appreciate all of the support you guys have given me, and just the interaction. I love the interaction with you guys, and I appreciate it. So I said I don't know how long I'm going to do the podcast, but until I run out of stuff to talk about, I guess. And then I won't do it anymore. Okay, so let's get started. So if everyone can just get into a comfortable position. You can be laying down. You can be sitting up if you want to. Just try to be comfortable. And you're just going to take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And you can close your eyes or you can leave them open. There's no wrong way to do anything that we're doing. And for just a minute, I want you to think and focus on the center of your heart. And just focus on that area for just a moment. You may feel like it's filling up. You may feel a tickle in there. You may just be aware that it's there. You may have no experiences at all. There's no wrong answer. But just focus on that area for a moment and breathe in through your nose. And as you breathe out through your mouth, expand your heart chakra. And right now, we're going to blow the chakra up like a balloon until you're standing right in the middle of it. Just take a few deep breaths in. This is your center. So as we go through this work, know that you're completely surrounded by your own energy, your own light. And focus on the middle of your heart again. And take a deep breath in through your nose and push the energy from your heart down through your solar plexus, through your sacral chakra, through your root chakra. You may feel it exit from your perineum. You may feel it pass through your knees. You may feel it pull you down through the bottoms of your feet. Keep pushing the energy down, past the crust of the earth, all the way down, till you're in the heart of the earth. And you'll just stay here for just a moment. Right now, you're just merging your own heart energy in with the heart of the earth, grounding deep. You're perfectly safe. Nothing can harm you. You may start getting warm or having feelings. You don't have to interact with them, just be aware of them. Now, if you'll think about that energy coming back up through your feet past your ankles, climbing up your leg, into the center of your heart where you are still in the middle of the earth. Take a deep breath through your nose. And when you blow out, let that energy float back up to you. Take a deep breath in. Pull it in to the center of your heart. And know that you're anchored into the center of the earth. And just sit with that for a moment. We're going to take these combined energies now and take a deep breath. And as you blow out, push that energy from your heart up through the throat, past the third eye, out the top of your head. Keep going all the way up. You may notice other chakras. You may look out and see other parts of you, other parts of your energy body. Keep going up. We're going all the way up to source. You can picture this whatever you're comfortable with. You can picture it as an embrace. You can picture it as a ball of light that you're sitting in the middle of. Whatever feels good to you. We're sitting in the heart of source right now, combining all of our energy together. Take a deep breath and retrieve that part of you, that consciousness, back into your own heart. Bring it back down into your body. And let that anchor back into your heart. And one final push. We're taking our energy to earth and the source that's all combined. And we're going to push it all the way back down into the earth one more time. When you get back down there, you'll know that you are fully anchored and fully grounded to earth and to source. This is a good place to look around and explore in your free time if you want to during a meditation. It feels so warm, the embrace of being in the middle of the earth like that. It feels amazing. Okay, so now that we're nice and grounded, we're going to. Last week we pushed energy out. We pulsed energy out through our chakras. This week we're going to open up all of our secondary chakras. Okay, and then we're going to pull all the energy from the secondary chakras, and we're going to push them into the different main chakras that we have. So, and you may see or feel chakras on your body that I'm not talking about, and take that as a sign, hey, we want some attention. So if I'm talking about the palms, for instance, and you're seeing them not on your palms, but you're seeing a bunch of them pop up on your forearms, you can open all of those up. The key here is that there's no wrong answer, and this is all about intuition. And if you are feeling like you're not receiving information while we're doing that, that's okay too. Just follow the sound of my voice with the things that I'm telling you and just work with that. And we're not going to make it complicated. We're just going to do some simple things. This will sort of open up not just the energy flow through the meridians, but this really helps to activate any of your secondary chakras that may not have or be balanced. So that's what we're doing. By pulling light into them, it's going to rebalance them, and then it's going to feed into the 7 main chakras, which we will balance also. Okay, so you're still comfortable laying or sitting, and everybody's grounded. So take a few deep breaths and focus on the center of your heart, because this is where we're going to work from. This is the first place we go. Some people see a door there and they open the door and it opens to this room that they've created. Some people walk into the center, they use their imagination and they walk into the center of the heart. I always see my soul, I call my soul in through the 8th chakra, and I bring it down to my heart, and this is where I connect in to my own heart and my own soul. And I walk through a big light that opens up to my heart space, my center. So what we're going to do is why we're in here. I want you to think of some place. It can be a beach. It can be your grandmother's house. It can be the woods. It can be anywhere that you would feel safe and that you would feel home, a feeling of comfort and awe. And this is going to be built in the middle of your heart, so this is your heart space, and when you go to meditate, you can go here every single time. So find your place, and if you're outside, standing, in your mind, and you're walking around, just stand for just a moment. You can be sitting or laying. It doesn't matter, however you're using your imagination to see. And you want to feel and begin to notice that the very top of your head has a tingling sensation. Tickles a little bit. That 7th chakra is opening up. And you're standing there, and you can feel the most pure light, the pure source, the God light pouring in through the top of your crown chakra. When you feel like it's full, let it flow into the 3rd eye. Now I spin my chakras while I'm bringing this light in, like a washing machine. Bring it into your throat. This is the pure light of source. Let it fill up into your heart. Solar plexus. Sacral chakra. Your root chakra. And just let it start filling your whole body up. Let your legs get full. Your knees. Now look at your hands in your mind's eye. Look at your hands. And you'll see 2 small chakras in the palms of your hands. Or you might feel them. You might not see them. Just know that they're there. And start spinning them around and around. Just think about them and they'll move. And when you do, they work just like fans do. So they can either push or pull. Right now we're going to pull air in, or light in, excuse me. So spin them around. They're like little vacuums. And remember, you're standing and have been standing in your own heart energy. We've connected with the earth and we've connected with source. So what we're pushing through us right now is our own light, our own energy. That's what we're working with. And we've got the source light running through us right now. It's filled our entire bodies. So in your own field, when you turn your little fans on, you're pulling that energy in. So pull that energy in and start to notice. You can start on your left-hand side or your right-hand side. Just start on one side. Pull that energy and pay attention when you pull it in. Pull it up through one of your arms, to your elbow, to your shoulders, and pull it all the way back into your heart. When you do that, you'll notice one side may flow better than another side. You may notice other chakras open up when you do that. Now do the other side. And any little thing that you notice like that is probably, and the more you do this, the more stuff you'll notice. The more you go with it, though, into the middle of your heart, the more things that you're going to feel, and you're going to know that your body's talking to you, your energy body is speaking to you and trying to tell you something. It'll tell you all kinds of stuff about if you're balanced. It'll tell you if the energy's flowing correctly. So now in your mind's eye, turn your hands over, and now you're looking on the other side, the tops of your hands, and you're going to do the same thing. Spin those small chakras on your hands. See, I've noticed when I did that, a bunch of smaller ones on my arm opened up. So I'm just opening them all up, and I'm pulling that into my heart. Okay. Now you've also got some at your shoulders that are really important. Also, this is one that I see clogged more than any of the other chakras are at the shoulders, and it's always about the burdens that we're carrying. So you'll start on one side. You may hear them spinning. One of them may look like they're going backwards. It's okay. See, now that I got my arms going, they're popping all over my whole body. I can feel all of them opening up. You can do the ones around your feet. As a matter of fact, let's do those next. The bottoms of your feet, you'll open them up. Spin them around really fast and let them pull. Do each leg separately so you can get a good feel on how the energy is going. Pull it up, past your root, sacral, right into your heart. Do it on both sides. You may notice that on your legs especially, there may be an area that energy gets stuck or doesn't want to move past. And all of that is information for you to figure out. It's your body trying to tell you something. Okay, so now I want to reground all of this because now we've pulled in and we've recirculated all this energy. Let's push it all back down into the ground, in through your nose and out through your mouth. When we do that, when we reground ourselves, we're just going back in and finding our center, just making sure that we're staying on. It also helps to get a lot of the debris that you may have pulled back out of your energy system. So we're transmuting it by pushing it down like that. But we've got to make sure it goes down. You'll want to run an etheric tornado also is a great way to run through your chakras, and that'll really help clean them out. On this last exercise, well, real quick, so this exercise we just did, try to remember that you have tons and tons of those secondary chakras, and even the secondary ones have smaller ones. So there's tons of information. I mentioned last week the ones right at the brow. Those are good ones to clear out. Around your ears, especially if you're clairaudient, around your ears and head It's good to keep all that free of debris. You want the information that's coming in not to be blocked by anything that you have in your own energy. So as clear as you can be is the best way to be. And this is a lot of work, so to me it is anyway. I mean, I guess there's some people out there that probably don't do all the prep work, but that's not my deal. I don't like that. Because I like to see those higher vibrational frequencies. I like to experience that real misty energy. It's like dust almost. That's the stuff that I like to work with. I don't like the denser. Feels like I'm working with rocks or something. I like to work with the lighter energy. Okay, so let's do. Okay, the last one is going to be. We're going to spin our chakras as discs. So you should still be running that light. So just make sure you're comfortable. And you're going to focus right on the center of your heart again and go into your space. So now you'll want to push your energy from your heart. You're going to go into your root chakra. And this time, instead of spinning it as a circle, you'll spin it like it's a record. So you'll lay it flat. Okay? And when we're pushing the energy out this way, if you can imagine the root chakra to be the smallest one, and they get bigger and bigger, spread out as you go up like a cup. So this is your channel, parts of your channel, and all the layers that are, we talked about all the different bodies, and we talked about the different layers in the chakra. How they function will be dependent on how you're working with them also. So you can work with them multidimensionally like this. So you're spinning them instead of just working with the physical aspect of it. You're working with this in a much deeper way. Okay? So you're going to spin the root chakra out like a record. I always hear them when I do it this way. I don't see them as well when I do it this way, but I can hear them, and I mean I know it's clearing because I can feel it, but I'm not sure why that is. And you'll go up to your sacral chakra when you're done, and you'll spin that one. You may see stuff flying off of them. You may notice things. You may notice it tilts a certain way. You may notice it doesn't want to spin at all. You may notice the different layers in that some of the bands, what I call them, are spinning faster than the other bands. That's real interesting stuff when you get into looking at them as discs, and you can see the different bands. It's just like on a record, how they have the different songs. They'll have like the line that goes around. It's almost just like that for the different layers of interaction. But overall, how quickly each band is moving is going to make up the overall vibrational state of this chakra. And it's the same way when they're facing the other way. It's all of the parts moving inside of the chakra that make up the overall vibrational frequency. Let's move up to the solar plexus and spin. Then you can go up to the heart and spin. Move into the throat and spin. Third eye. You may notice different colors on the bands when you do them this way. The colors may look different to you. And now for the crown chakra, spin. Okay, lastly, we talked about the etheric tornado last week. Let's go ahead and Going to want to focus for just a moment on where you grounded into source. So right at the heart of source, you'll notice a large etheric tornado spinning. It may be white, it may be purple, but you're going to want to bring that all the way down your channel. This is huge now. You can stand with your arms as wide as you want, but this etheric tornado will fill your whole house up. It's so big. Let it go in through your crown chakra and just let it spin all the way down, clearing out your discs all the way down. Push that etheric tornado all the way down to the center of the earth. You want to push it all the way down. I don't know why I keep wanting to. I feel like somebody's not doing that. So push it all the way down, all the way down. Everything that we're shaking off and clearing out, pushing out into the our bodies that are further out, we want transmuted back into the perfection of source. So that's what we want to do. We want to ground it. The good thing about using the earth's energy is it's perfect for neutralizing. So this is take all the stuff that didn't stick in your chakras, and you want to clear it out so that it's not going to stick to you. You're going to want to run this etheric tornado. I usually do it for just a few minutes, but you're going to want to run it till you feel clear. The etheric tornado I've mentioned in the 2 previous shows is my best friend, and I use it all the time. It's great for clearing homes. It's great for clearing your central channel. It works wonders on animals. It's a fascinating thing to watch too, to watch it transmute stuff. So we are starting to run out of time. So go ahead and keep running that etheric tornado for just a minute, though. Let's keep it going. Don't stop it just yet. Keep going. And again, you'll remember too, once you're in this state where you kind of are, where you feel centered and you're at your heart and you feel like you can work from your heart. If you're wanting to explore other places, that's where to go. If you're going to do that, you're going to want to go into your heart first. You always want to be in your own energy. So there's something I read all the time, and the last line says that the harmony of your true being is your ultimate protection. And I completely agree with that, 100%. So connect in with source, your I am presence. If you do that work, but always connect in from the heart and your intentions also, set intentions. So I mentioned we're going to be doing a show about connecting, but I have mentioned before on IntuiTalks, there's a show called Teaching Tuesdays with Renee Richards. There's not been a live broadcast in just a little while, but there are archives on there. There's a couple of shows in her archives, if you'll check them out, that are really great. It's about psychic connections, and especially mediumship and psychic abilities and stuff like that. There's a ton of information on those 2 podcasts also about connecting in and feeling safe and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, I always direct people to that podcast or those 2 podcasts. So look that stuff up. And I guess we're going to wrap it up because we're almost out of time now. Please join me next week when Kathleen Moore is here, and then all the other shows that I have coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. At the beginning of November, I have Sue, a lady named Sue, is coming on. She's going to be doing some tarot reading. She's actually got her own show. I'll be posting all that information soon. The 24th, don't forget that the Purple Plate lady is going to be on the show talking about ghosts and ghouls, and hopefully she's going to read some things that she wrote also. So that's going to be like our Halloween show. It'll be fun. I have Selena on the 17th, and then the Contacting the Soul will broadcast on the 10th. So please join me for those. I thank everybody for coming to the show tonight, whether you were here live or you're listening in archives. I really appreciate your support. This is a lot of, it's not really fun for me, it's meaningful for me. So Yeah, I appreciate all the support. I love you guys. We will see you in 1 week. So take it easy and see you later.